Welcome to the GTA Advisors Podcast. We interview Greater Toronto Area business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. Our goal is to bring Greater Toronto Area residents the best advice from our community's brightest minds. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and real estate innovator, Robert Caruso.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the GTA Advisors Podcast. I'm Robert Caruso, and I'm here with Ayan Mukherjee, who is a registered psychotherapist. Ayan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert. Thanks for inviting me to the show. I'm really psyched to be here.
That's a good choice of words. So before we start getting involved in what it is that you do as your career focus, maybe just talk about yourself, about your background. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? And what did you do before you became a psychotherapist?
Yeah. So actually, I grew up in India and also lived for a few years in the Middle East when I was young. And I came to Canada 6 years ago, beginning of a cold winter when I was 24 years old. I came here alone with a job as a data analyst at a bank. And I'm currently transitioning from an 8-year-long successful career in banking. I work in the line of data analysis. And 2013 is when I decided that, I like the job, but I would like to follow my passion, and I got into psychotherapy. I got into a part-time diploma program in psychotherapy, and I graduated from that program, completing all my client hours in March 2016. And since then, I have been in part-time private practice. So I'm still with the bank. I'm a business analytics manager with the bank, and I'm transitioning into a full-time psychotherapy practice right now. In terms of hobbies and interests, I have actually a lot of interests, and I play guitar, I play hand drum. Call myself an amateur musician a little bit, and I'm also a little bit into dance. So there's a dance form called contact improvisation, and I dabble in that. In the summers, I enjoy camping, hiking, kayaking, and I'm slowly getting myself into bushcraft and survival training as well.
Wow, you got a lot going on.
Yeah,
that's great. So I know. You from what our conversations, you do work at a couple of different locations, but maybe before we start getting into that as well. So, has there been any challenges? What have been your challenges of getting into this career? I mean, obviously, there's a big switch from what you were doing before, or what you're still doing.
Yeah. In terms of challenges, as such, the work that I do as a psychotherapist, that is not challenging. That is that really fuels me and that I really enjoy. The challenging part has been to maintain these two faces. So I have my banker face and I have my therapist face, and to walk that tightrope of having your daytime bank job and doing psychotherapy, and having to switch between these two all the time, and focusing where I want to focus on developing my business as well as make sure that I'm doing okay on the job. So that tightrope I've been walking now for the last 3 years while I was doing my program as well. So that has been a challenge, and I'm switching into entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm coming from a financially stable, lucrative career in banking and moving into this relatively more uncertain career, trying to work on my passions. So that's been, to be honest, that's been exciting, but also scary. So I had to do a lot of work on my fears of uncertainty, fears of financial instability and all that, and so that I can, immerse myself into a full-time practice.
That's excellent. So if you can go back to when you first started doing this more regularly, is there anything that you would have given, any advice you would have given your former self when you started, or is there anything you would have changed by the way you approached everything?
Yeah, so I would, if I dial back, if I could go back to say December 2014, that was a time when I was starting my case studies. So in our course, we need to do 125 to nearly 150 hours of face-to-face client sessions before you can graduate, right? And I was kind of nervous with that. I was like, oh, I've never done this before. I don't know how it'll go. Where will I get my clients from? So I had a lot of anxiety around that. I started that in January 2015. So around that December 2014, I was feeling a lot of that. So if I could go back, I would tell that younger self of mine that you know what, don't worry, you'll get your clients. You did get your clients without much effort, and that you will really find your true love for therapy while you do this work, and also that working with the clients will actually change you for the better. It has made me less judgmental. It is that's what I would go with.
So why? Okay, two questions. One, why
Mhm.
psychotherapy,
Mhm.
and also what is psychotherapy? Maybe you can explain it a little bit.
Okay. So I'll take the second question. What is psychotherapy? And that's actually something that I address in my YouTube videos as well, because that is something that people have a lot of opinions and a lot of myths about, and I do some myth busting in some of these videos. The important thing about psychotherapy is that it's basically where you're talking. The basic is that you're talking to someone about your issues, right? The things that make psychotherapy so helpful is that you receive a non-judgmental space where it's all about you, right? So if you try talking to a friend about your issues, the friend is going to bring in their relationship, their perspective, right? They're going to be like, oh no, I don't think this is right, I don't think you should be doing this. They bring their opinion, and also you're threatening your, if you say something that is threatening to the friendship, there's quite a bit on the line. But with a therapist, what happens is you can speak your mind, you can speak your heart, you can even say that, this is not working, whatever, and you're not judged. You're accepted for what you're putting out there. That's one. And the second piece is often there are things that we are not able to do on our own. So for example, if you're anxious and you have a lot of ruminating thoughts, you have keep having these thoughts in your mind all the time, a negative spiral, often how much ever you try, you might not be able to stop that on your own. And that's when going to a professional can really help. And we get a lot of training, more than just psychology. We get a lot of training in doing interpersonal work and actually sitting in front of a client, listening. We get really drilled on the listening part, for example. And in my practice, I also bring in something called holistic psychotherapy. So that brings in a lot of other tools. My style is quite eclectic, so I like to bring in a lot of other tools which actually go deeper. If you have heard of something like neuro linguistic programming, NLP, for example. So I use NLP, I use hypnosis, I use something called EMDR, guided imagery, body psychotherapy, a lot of these things which actually make you go, get you out of that storytelling mode for a moment and make you actually go into your body, make you actually go to where you are feeling those emotions and then letting it out and moving the energy that is stuck in there. So often that can't be done alone, that can't be done by your own self, and you would need some help, and psychotherapy is the model wherein that help can be found. How does that sound?
Good, good. So NLP, Richard Bandler, is that
Yeah.
Is that one of the founding sort of fathers
Yeah.
of that tradition?
Yeah.
That therapy, I should say. Yeah.
Mhm.
So why psychotherapy? I mean, what motivated
Psychotherapy.
you?
Yeah, so actually in 2012, I actually had you can call it a spiritual awakening of sorts. I actually had a lot of energy in my body moving around, and like what you can say, like a spiritual experience. I also experienced some amount of depression and frustration with regards to my bank job, where this was supposed to be my career, right? I was quite good at it, but somehow I started feeling like, oh my God, what am I doing in this job? And it was a lot of what we call cognitive dissonance, where this is what I think is what I need, but I don't really like it. And I had a difficult breakup as well. So it was in our work what we called the dark night of the soul, in the sense that it was all kinds of
build up.
shit hitting the fan at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And and through that I initially got into energy healing. I got into like Reiki, quantum touch, and that kind of stuff, and I started doing that on the side. But around September 2013, and actually summer of 2013, I had a big sort of disillusionment. I was actually up at Bancroft at a shamanic vision quest thing. I was camping there for 5 days in the forest, and I had this thing that, you know what, I'm getting this huge healer ego. I'm getting this what we call messiah complex, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna like heal everyone and all that. And I was getting that, and I realized that, you know, I really don't know much about myself. I don't really haven't done any emotional work. So I then decided that, okay, I want to find a line of work where I can do this healing, but which I can do in a more safe and responsible manner, in a more grounded manner, and which makes sure that I do my own personal work, right? And also my mom is a psychotherapist back in India. So you could say it kind of runs in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of grew up listening to her telling me, oh, that client, this client, you know, stuff like that. And people opened up to me easily, like my friends. And I never felt like, oh, take your poor problem somewhere else. It was always like, okay, yeah, tell me. I would generally give a lot of advice, which later on I was like, oh, that's so bad. Like, that's not good therapy at all. But that's when I decided to look around, and I found this course, like a 2.5-year diploma program in holistic psychotherapy at Transformational Arts College here in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, September 2013, I joined that course, and I graduated in March 2016, and that's how I got into it. And since then, yeah, I know it in my bones now that that's my calling. I'm good at it. I enjoy it a lot. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely, it does. It goes deep, very deep into your struggles and how you overcame them, and now you're able to help others, right? And speaking of helping others, was there any moment that you can think of since you've started doing this that's giving you that feeling of, wow, I'm making a difference?
Yeah, I mean, there have been quite a few, client sessions where I felt that, but one of them that I want to highlight, without giving out any identifiable client information, is this work I was doing around last year, actually, with this young man in his mid-20s, and we had actually done 20 sessions together over a span of 1 year through my internship as well. And we had done a lot of good work around his anxiety at work. His dad had passed away when he was quite young, so there were things around relationship with dad and relationship with men that we were looking at, and we had done quite a bit of good work. But on the 21st session, he comes up to me and he shares this sexual abuse incident that had happened to him when he was around 10, 11 years old by another boy. And he had been suffering for it for many years, and he had not said this to anyone. He had been carrying this within himself. He hadn't said it to anyone, and it took him 20 sessions. We were like, oh, our relationship was great. We were doing a lot of good work, but it still took him 20 sessions to muster up the courage to tell this to someone and tell this to another man. Right. And this was later on, we realized that this was one of the core pieces that was affecting his relationship with other men, his lack of confidence with other men. And so that was one of the most, when he actually said it to me, that session was one of the most sort of humbling and emotional sessions that I've had. And that's when I was like, yeah, like, you know what? If I'm making a difference in someone's life, I'm making a difference in this person's life. And to feel that, you might be the only person who knows such a big secret about someone. And it's a big honor and a privilege.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's dig a little bit deeper. So, Ayan, let's imagine we dropped you on an island. And on this island, there was no psychotherapists around. Nobody knew what it was. List some of the benefits of why people should be using your services.
Okay. So as a male therapist, one thing that I specialize in is in working with men, and I would like to take this opportunity to reach out to the men in your audience, and on the island. And also the women. And for the women, it's about, like, this is about the men in your lives who you want to see them grow and you want them to live expansively. So men, the thing is, this day and age is really hard for us. On one side, we constantly get messages of, you gotta suck it up, don't be a wuss, you gotta man up. And on the other side, we are like bottling up our emotions and repressing our emotions, and we don't know how to deal with it. We have our anger bursts. Most of the time, men deal with all kinds of emotions through the channel of anger. And in this process, our relationships are getting hurt, the women in our lives are getting hurt. And right now you see our planet is being run by boys and not men. And see what that has done to our planet. So my mission is to basically give you the space and understanding that you need and deserve from one man to another, and to completely accept all your parts, including the shameful, hurtful, and vulnerable parts. I have been there myself. I've gone through those things. So I know how hard it is to actually, speak about that with another man. But just know that when you actually do that, it's the biggest relief that you ever experience, right? And I also bring in a brand of holistic psychotherapy that recognizes your inner wisdom. So it could be that, you are disconnected from the inner wisdom, but I still recognize it. And regardless of how messed up you might be, I can still see it. And in holistic psychotherapy, we don't pathologize. We don't make it like, oh, it's addiction and this and that. For us, those are just symptoms. Those are just things that are happening that you are using to cope. And you are much larger than your symptoms. You are much larger than your addictions, right? And I also bring in modalities that go above and beyond talk only therapy. So often, if you're going, if you have a lot of repressed anger, you can talk all about it, but nothing gets done. You can have 20 sessions with a talk only therapist and you just talk, and you still feel the same, right? But I bring in modalities such as hypnosis, NLP, guided imagery, EMDR, Gestalt exercises, body psychotherapy, where we actually take you out safely and responsibly, and also gently take you out of that narrative, take you out of that story that you've been telling yourself, the story that you've been telling others all the time. That feels very comfortable. Once you get into a story, you've told it 20 times to your friend, it's very nice and comfortable. But now if I ask you, when you say that story, where do you feel that in your body? And you suddenly feel things in your chest, you feel things in your arms. And it's that energy, it's that pent up anger that is now, wanting to come up. And that's when we bring in other modalities, some of the modalities that I talked about, or also like anger release modalities. Like I have the number of clients who have screamed into pillows and hit pillows with an anger bat in my sessions and really enjoyed the catharsis and be like, I've been carrying this for 10 years. Now it's out, So I don't know how many therapists do that out there. There are a lot of therapists out there, but I can tell you that that's one thing that I really enjoy in my practice. And given my own background, I specialize in working with South Asians, working with new immigrants, children of immigrants, because I'm an immigrant myself, and I can understand where you guys are coming from. And I know that there are not many therapists out there who cater to the South Asian and even the Middle Eastern population. I also enjoy working with entrepreneurs and millennials and those working in the corporate world, because I come from a banking background and I know what it is like to do the 9 to 5, to do the crazy 9 to 5, which never ends at 5. So I know how that is. And the issues that I work with mostly, and one thing before I say that, is we have this thing in psychotherapy. We say that you don't choose your practice, the practice chooses you. So you don't get to choose what issues you work with. people come up, and then you see that, oh, I'm now working mostly with self-confidence and self-esteem issues, anxiety, work stress, men's issues, career and life transitions, a lot of identity crisis. So men in their mid-30s, doing their, got their jobs, got their MBAs, married, kids, everything is like boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
But they are like 35 and they are like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so depressed. Help me out. Right. So
maybe,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
how does somebody, okay, yeah, so obviously we can have one spectrum where somebody feels depressed, they don't know what's going on, they absolutely need help, and they've hit sort of, I'll call it rock bottom.
Yeah.
But when does somebody know they need help, even without hitting that? Like, do people need help and they don't have to hit rock bottom? Or like, I mean, how do we know? Like, how does somebody know if they need your help?
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about, I actually addressed this in one of the videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, is that it's actually a myth that is actually propagated by Hollywood to quite an extent, that to see a therapist you need to hit rock bottom, that you need to go like feel really crazy and do like a lot of damage to your life and to others before you actually go into therapy. But what I tell all my clients is that no, you can actually for therapy you don't need to be messed up. It's actually I get quite a few clients who are actually doing quite well. They're doing quite well in their life and work, but they want to basically go to the next level, or they have certain what I call limiting beliefs that are stopping them from doing certain things, and they come to me for that as well. So there is, I would say, come earlier than later. Because what happens is, now if you're really depressed, you started with a little bit of depression, but you didn't do anything about it. You thought that, oh, you know what, I can handle it, and 6 months went by and now you're really depressed. And you're it could also depression can also turn suicidal, right, if not checked in. So, and now you're looking at medication, now you're looking at going to a psychiatrist. My thing is that when you're doing this kind of deeper work, when you're doing emotional work, especially when you're like really depressed, it's basically like you're in a deep hole, and it's much easier to do psychotherapy when you're not really in that deep hole, when you're standing on level ground. And our work then becomes that we take you out of that deep hole, stabilize you, and then we do some of the deeper work, right? So I would say, don't wait till you get into that deep hole, right? Just start working with the psychotherapist, start working with me, reach out to me when you are feeling some of these things, before it even happens, before you go deeper.
So it's more like preventative maintenance then.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd want to start, the sooner you start, the better. So I really appreciate you sharing all that information. That's wonderful information. I'm sure people are going to get a lot of value from that. Maybe before we start to wrap up, do you use any kind of internet resource like Google Calendar, Evernote, or anything is there anything that you couldn't live without at this point?
Right now, one of the I'm an Android person, so one of the things that I'm using a lot on the apps is called Cam Scanner. So it helps me to take pretty good scans by just clicking photographs with my phone, and I'm using it now for when my clients, when I work on an intake session with my clients, and any kind of worksheets that I give them and they work on, I use that to take scans of that and upload it to my online therapy management system. So yeah, if you're in a pinch and you need a scan, Cam Scanner, that's the app.
I've used some scanners, and back in the day they were pretty terrible, but I know they've been improving over time. So as you know, I'm in real estate, and for me now we have this basically we can sign with email signatures, so it's pretty easy. So
actually, so I recently bought a condo with my partner, so we use DocuSign, and that's really nice.
It's very, very easy to use, and no paper, no nothing. So is there any book you've read, quote that you live by, that's helped mold you?
One of the books, this is more from a relationship point of view. There's a book called Keeping the Love You Find by Dr. Harville Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
And the name sounds kind of cheesy, but it's actually a really good book on finding your own relationship patterns, the things that you do, and the kind of person that you attract in your life. And I have recommended that to quite a few of my friends and a few of my clients. And it's really good to prepare, it really helps you prepare yourself when you're going out there, say, into the dating world. Or there's also another one for couples. I forgot the name for that, but a similar book for couples where, if you're in a relationship and you've gotten a lot of bad habits over time, how you can sort of work to clean that up.
Excellent. I really appreciate you joining us today. Eye-opening for me because a lot of people don't realize they need help until it gets really bad, right?
Yeah.
So it's good that people should know this information, that they should get help sooner than later.
Yeah.
So how would our listeners be able to get a hold of you?
So I have my website. That's www.ayanrp.com, and I guess it'll be there in the
show notes. Yeah.
In the notes, and you can email me at ayan@ayanrp.com, or text or call me at 416-854-2195. And I really, if you're looking for some information on all these things and to get a feel for working with me, I do offer a 30-minute free phone consultation. And in that, we'll basically look at what what issues you're coming up with and do some expectation management, and I give you an idea of how it is to work with me. And also do check out my YouTube channel. I started that in December last year, and I have about 7 videos on different topics.
I was going to say, very entertaining, very insightful. I was checking them out, and I think people will enjoy them. Absolutely. I mean, our introduction is just an introduction, but your YouTube videos, amazing. People are going to get some good information there. Thank you for being on the show, Ayan, and we will definitely keep in touch.
Thanks a lot, Robert, for this opportunity, and we will keep in touch. Thank you.
Perfect.